Hi friends, welcome back to this class. And today we are going to deal with an important topic, that is water harvesting, rainwater harvesting. We saw by building dams and multi-purpose projects which were built for solving the problems of the people, but instead of solving, they were multiplying the problems of the people. They were making distinction between the rich and the poor, and the people who sacrificed their life, their property, their house, they were not getting much benefit from the dam. Instead, people who made no sacrifice, they were given the benefits. And so we can suggest an alternative method to solve the problems of the people, that is called rainwater harvesting. Let us see what it is and how to do it and so on. So take your textbook, page number 29. So many thought that given the disadvantages and rising resistance against multi-purpose projects dams, water harvesting is a viable alternative. So the dams were giving a lot of problems to the people, and therefore people were protesting and resisting so much about building new dams. And so people began to think, then what is another alternative? What is another one that you can substitute these dam projects? So they came to the conclusion that rainwater harvesting is a better alternative. It can help the people and not do much harm to the people. And so, both socio-economically and environmentally, it is a good thing. So, every family should have their own water harvesting system, and that will help these people to meet their water needs. It will be helpful for the increasing the ground level water and so on. Let's see how it is. So, in ancient India, along with sophisticated hydraulic structures, there existed an extraordinary tradition of water harvesting system. So, in the beginning of this lesson, we saw even in the olden times, even in BC, there were kings who were building dams to help the people to solve water scarcity for irrigation and so on. So, at the same time, there were also people who were harvesting this rainwater. So it is not just a new idea, but even from olden times people were practicing it, collecting their roof water. And people had in-depth knowledge of rainfall regimes and soil types and developed wide-ranging techniques to harvest rainwater, groundwater, river water and flood water in keeping with the local ecological conditions and their water needs. So people of olden times, they had great knowledge about this rainwater harvesting system, and it is according to the situation, according to the location, according to the type of the soil, all that they have to consider, and they were able to do it. That shows they had very great knowledge. They had great knowledge about the soil system, the water system and the needs of the people and so on. So in the hills and the mountain regions, so where people are living in the hilly region or in the mountain region, people built diversion channels like gulfs or kulls of the western Himalayas for agriculture. So people who are living in the mountain tops, for example, let's say Himalayan slopes, people who are living there, the mountain slopes, what kind of things did they do in order to solve their water problem? They built diversion channels. So lot of water will be flowing down from the hilltop, and they have to make canals or channels to divert that water to different directions. So instead of building big dams and diverting the water, they began to collect or gather this water that is coming down from the hill and make small channels and lead them to their agricultural field. So they will be able to use that water for irrigation. Then rooftop rainwater harvesting was commonly practiced to store drinking water, particularly in Rajasthan. So from the mountain tops we see people are gathering that water for their farming. But people who collect the rainwater from the roof, from the house roof, that is mainly for drinking purpose. And in our country, Rajasthan is one of the states that is mostly affected by this drought. Very often they have a problem with drinking water. So people began to collect this roof water in the tank and use it for drinking purpose. So during the dry season they will be able to manage with this water that is collected from the rooftop. And so in the flood plains of Bengal, so Bengal they used to get flood very often because of the big rivers, they used to get floods. So what do they do? Let's see. So people develop inundation channels to irrigate their fields. So in Bengal also, where the water is too much or it is flooded, and therefore what do? They make channels, inundation channels. They make the channel through under the earth and they carry all this extra water into this channel and carry to faraway place where there is no rain. So from where there is a flood, they carry the water through canals and reach it to the farm place. So that is how people in West Bengal do. And in arid and semi-arid regions, so arid means dry. So some areas are very dry, completely dry, and some areas are semi-dry. So such regions, agricultural fields were converted into rain-fed storage structures that allowed the water to stand and moisten the soil, like Athens and Jaisalmer and Johar in other parts of Rajasthan. So those fields that are very dry or that are semi-dry, what did they do? They made that area a storage place for water. So they will keep water there, they will keep it water there, so that this water will sink down and the soil will be wet. So they will keep the water for a long time and then this place will become fit for cultivation. Otherwise it is very dry and they will not be able to do the cultivation. So different places, there is different type of climates, different type of soils, different type of problems. So accordingly people discussed, decided and implemented programs and plans in order to collect this water. So let us see what are the steps in order to collect the roof water or in order to harvest the rainwater. You will see 6 points are given there in your textbook. 6 points are given there. They are the steps. And here also we can see pictures. There are 2 houses are there and the people are collecting roof water. Here this roof water is going to the hand pump and here it is going to the well. So all the roof water we may not be able to collect in the tank. Therefore what do the people do? They collect the water into the well or hand pump, bore well and so on, so that it will remain there and it may even sink down to the earth and the ground level water will come up, it will increase. So no water is just flown away but it is sinking into the ground. That will help us to increase the ground level water. Now let's see what are the steps in order to collect this rainwater. So first thing is, rooftop water is collected using PVC pipe. So people will connect the PVC pipe below the roof and water is collected. Water is not just flowing down but water will enter into this pipe. Then afterwards it is filtered using sand and bricks. So then slowly it will be come down and it will go to one small tank which is filled with sand and bricks, so that all the dirt, everything will be purified. it will remain on top and the pure water will go down. So all the dirt will remain on top. That is the second stage. Then underground pipe takes water to some for immediate usage. So people who want take water for their daily use, they can use that water. Then the excess water from the sump is taken to the well. So the extra water what they don't require, it is taken to the well. They may have a well there nearby and through the pipe it will be taken to that well. Then water from the well recharges the underground. So when water is poured into this well, what happens? It will be sinking into the ground, and that way the ground level water will come up. It will increase. Then only the water sources will remain fresh. So the water from the roof, we use it for our daily purpose. The rest we send into the well, and it will remain there, and it will also make the earth wet, so that it will become very useful for us in the future. The water sources will not become dry very fast. Then if you want water later, we can pump out water from the well, because we have already collected and kept the water in the well, so that is useful for us. So these are the steps, very simple steps. Only what we need is we need to buy some pipe, we need to have one well and so on. So it will be connected there. Even those who don't have well, they make cement tank, concrete tank and collect the water there. So that is also possible. So people who are living in this very dry regions, they do that way. They do not allow even a little bit of water to be lost. Whatever they can collect, the maximum water they will collect it and they will survive. Otherwise, they have no water sources there in the dry season. The women have to go far away, kilometers and kilometers they have to go in order to carry little water. So that means their whole life so troublesome. Their time is lost, their day is lost, they cannot do any other work and so on. So in order to avoid such kind of unnecessary burdensome work, they have started collecting this roof water, and it has become very good for them. Their life has become a little more better. Now, in the semi-arid and the arid regions of Rajasthan, so the Rajasthan we know there is a lot of dry areas are there. So particularly in a place called Bikaner or Halodi or Barmer, almost all the houses traditionally had underground tanks or tankas for storing drinking water. So these dry regions of this Rajasthan, what do? They have underground tanks. They dig the ground and make tank under the ground in order to store rainwater. So their tanks, they are not using well for storing the rainwater, but they use tank under the ground. So, and these tanks could be as large as a big room. So they try to make a big room or big tank just as a room, so that they can store more water. It should last for 1 year. That is their purpose. And so some tanks are 6 meters deep. 6 meters deep. You can understand. 6 meters deep means it is so quite big. So this room may be just maybe 4 meters. So much bigger than this room. And 4.27 meters long. The depth is 4.27 meters long and 2.44 meters wide. So it is such a big tank, it can contain a lot of water. The tanks were part of the well-developed rooftop rainwater harvesting systems and were built inside the main house or the courtyard. So when people build the house, they plan out that we want to do water harvesting also. Therefore, they will plan out making the tank also. They will not think about making tank later. But at at the time of constructing the house, they will also make plan for making the tanks as well. So quite many people make their tank inside their house. So it's a big room, and inside the room they will dig deep, and on top they will put concrete and close it. So what is advantage? We said Rajasthan has got a lot of dry areas, so it will be very hot. So in the middle of the room there is a water tank, then the room will be very cool because of water storing underneath. It will be very cool. So for people to escape from the heat, burning heat, this water tank is helping. And some people make their water tank in the courtyard. If their house is not very strong to make the water tank inside, they make it outside. So even near the house, in front of the house, there is a water tank. Then it is giving us a little bit of coolness. So the heat will be reduced. So people, according to the situation, according to the climate, they plan out and they make the necessary arrangements. So water harvesting is their plan, and it is their needs. Otherwise, they are going to suffer. So there is not a single house. That means almost every house they have this water harvesting system. Otherwise, they are going to suffer. They have no water source nearby. So they have only one choice, that is to make this water tank along with their house. Then, so these tanks that are built, we said they are connected with plastic pipe from the roof. Like this one pipe, it will be connected, and at the end of the pipe, another pipe will be connected to the tank. That is how they collect the water. Then rain falling on the rooftops would travel down the pipe and was stored in these underground tanks. So all the water that is falling on the roof, it will come down and enter into the tank. It will be stored inside. So the first spell of rain was usually not collected, as this would clean the roofs and the pipes. So we know when we get the first rain after a long dry season, all the roof, everything will be full of dust and mud. So that water will be very muddy. So the people, what do? When they get the first rain, they don't collect that water. They allow that water to flow out. They don't send that water to the tank, but they allow it to flow out, so that the roof will be clean. All the mud, dirty, dust, everything will be removed, washed away. The pipes will be clean afterwards. So from second rain onwards, they start collecting the water into the tank. So that is how people do. Then the rainwater can be stored in the tanks till the next rainfall, making it an extremely reliable source of drinking water when all other sources are dried up, especially in the summer. So people who plan out this collecting of this rainwater and storing in the tank, they make sure that this water is a reliable source. It will not become dry. If we have well, if we have pond, if we have river, all these may become dry. But the water that is stored inside the water tank, it will not become dry. It will not get lost. If the tank has no leaking, if the tank has got leak, the water all will disappear. So they make the tank nicely that it does not leak at all. Therefore, the water remains there. And rainwater, or they call it in Rajasthan also Alar Pani, is considered the purest form of natural water. So the rainwater that we get, that is the purest form of water. That is very pure. There is no chemical involved. There is no other chemicals getting mixed up. It is pure, and so it's the best water for drinking. Much more reliable than the water that we collect from the tubewells, from the borewells, and so on. The water that is coming from the rooftop is much more reliable, provided the roof is very clean. Then many houses constructed underground rooms adjoining the tanks to beat summer heat as it would keep the room clean and cool. So we already said that in Rajasthan people are making water tank inside the house or close to the room. What is the reason? Because Rajasthan is a very hot region and they have a lot of high temperature, and so people will find it difficult to survive, and therefore if they can build a water tank inside the house or near to the house, it will reduce the temperature and bring a lot of coolness into the house, so people will be able to feel more comfort if there is a presence of water tank in the house. So that is a very good idea that people are practicing it in Rajasthan, and that is a good thing that every person in the country also can practice. Otherwise, they will be struggling in the future. So if they can collect the rainwater, everyone can collect the rainwater, then that will be very good. Let us see some interesting fact is there. Rooftop rainwater harvesting is the most common practice in Shillong, Meghalaya. So people of Meghalaya also completely depending on this system of rainwater harvesting. So almost every house has got this roof collecting water system. And it is interesting because Cherrapunji and Mawsynram, situated at a distance of 55 km from Shillong, receive the highest rainfall in the world. So we know the place which is receiving highest rainfall in the world is in Meghalaya, a very close place from Shillong called Mawsynram and Cherrapunji and so. So such a close by, they have so much of rain, but in 65 kilometers, 55 kilometers away from Shillong, from Cherrapunji, in Shillong, people are struggling for water. They are completely depending on this rain water, roof harvesting water. So nearly every household in the city has a rooftop rain water harvesting structure. Nearly 15 to 25% of the total water requirement of the household comes from rooftop water harvesting. So Shillong is a place where people experience a lot of water scarcity, and almost 15 to 25% of the water requirement, every family 15 to 25% of their water requirement is met by this water harvesting. That's why in the capital Shillong, almost every house has got this water harvesting system, because they are facing a lot of water scarcity and people have managed the water harvesting and they manage by themselves and use it for their own daily purpose. So it is a good example for everyone in the country, especially where people are struggling for water in the dry season, and they allow the water from the rooftop to just flow out, and they struggle for water. So let us learn from the example of the people in Shillong, in Rajasthan and so on, and let us also try to save the water, and let us make our country water sufficient, and let us also increase the groundwater level by storing water into the earth, by allowing the water to sink into the ground. Let us allow the water level to come up. So we shall wind up for today. In the next class we will continue again with the same topic, that is rainwater harvesting and how people do